Okay, today we're converting Celsius to Fahrenheit. Those are two different units of temperature. So we're talking about temperature. One thing I want to say is that the freezing point of water can either be 0 degrees Celsius, this is how you see degrees Celsius, or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It's kind of like we can measure a distance in inches or feet or centimeters or meters. We can measure temperature in Celsius degrees or Fahrenheit degrees. So that's the freezing point of water. Boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius, or in Fahrenheit it'd be 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Normal body temperature, so our normal body temperatures are 30 degrees Celsius, or also in Fahrenheit it'd be 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so just as we can convert inches to feet and feet to inches, well, the same is true with temperature. We can convert one temperature to the other. So this is a formula so that if we know the Celsius, if we know that temperature, then we can convert Celsius degrees into Fahrenheit. Okay, so this is Fahrenheit equals 9/5 times the Celsius temperature plus 32 degrees. When you see a number right next to a letter, that implies multiplication. This means 9/5 times the C. So 9/5 times whatever your Celsius temperature is. So look at 16D number 1. Of course, I'm always going to recommend you always write your formula. The more you write it, the more you're going to memorize it. So the formula is F equals 9/5 C plus 32 degrees. How do we use this formula? We know our Celsius temperature right here is given at 70 degrees Celsius, and we want to know how much is that in Fahrenheit. So take your Celsius that you know, take this piece of information and put it in right here for C, because that's what that C stands for. That C represents your temperature in Celsius. So that'd be 9/5 times, and I usually like to use my parentheses for multiplication, because if you start using the multiplication symbol, the X, it looks like an X in algebra. So 9/5 times 70 degrees Celsius plus 32 degrees. Well, PEMDAS, order of operations, says you have to do multiplication before you do addition. So do your multiplication first. I can turn any number into a fraction by putting it over 1. So this is 9/5 times 70 over 1. So the first thing I usually look for is, can you cancel from numerator to denominator? Does 5 go into 70? Yeah, it does. So that'd be 14. So we can reduce both of these by 5. That becomes a 1. This becomes a 14. Now when you multiply fractions, you're just multiplying straight across. So that would be 9 times 14, 126 over 1 plus 32. Well, 126 divided by 1 is just 126. So now we can take 126 and then add 32 to it, and that is 158 degrees. So 70 degrees Celsius is the same as 158 degrees Fahrenheit. Alright, now let's look at 16D3. We know our temperature is 108 degrees Celsius, and we want to turn that into Fahrenheit. So we use the formula. If we want to change it to Fahrenheit, we use the formula where F is over here all by itself. Okay, 9/5 C plus 32 degrees. Okay, we take our Celsius temperature and we put it in for the C. That's what the C represents, is our Celsius temperature. So 9/5 times, because 9/5 C means 9/5 times C, 108 degrees plus 32. Since this is a fraction, I turn this into a fraction by putting it over 1, because 108 divided by 1 is still just 108. Okay, now we can multiply. You multiply first. PEMDAS says you do multiplication first. Look to see if your 5 will cancel with your numerator, but these two things cannot divide evenly. 5 does not divide evenly into there. So, but you can still use a calculator. If you want to reduce these by 5, reducing that by 5, 1. Reducing that by 5 comes up to 21.6. So sometimes that won't be even, and that's okay. Okay? So then when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. 9 times 21.6. So that's 194, and that would be divided by 1, but 194 divided by 1 is still just 194, plus your 32 degrees. So now you add your 32 degrees to your 194, and that comes out to 226 degrees Fahrenheit. So 108 degrees Celsius is 226 degrees Fahrenheit. Alright, let's look at 16E3. Now we're converting 46 degrees Celsius into Fahrenheit. So use your formula. Fahrenheit equals 9/5 C plus 32. Take your 46 degrees, put it in for your Celsius, because that represents your Celsius temperature. 9/5 times 46, we're going to make that into a fraction, plus 32. Does 5 divide evenly into 46? No. So, but we can turn it into a decimal. That would be 9.2. 5 goes into 5 one time, 5 goes into 46, 9.2. So now you multiply your fractions, multiply straight across. 9 times 9.2, 82.8 over 1 times 1, which is 1. You don't have to write that. Plus your 32. And so your Fahrenheit temperature would be 114 degrees. So 46 degrees Celsius is the same as 114 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't forget your degree symbol. Your degree symbol is very, very important.